if you were on the scene and you were powerful, like, to be honest, like, if you're not in those files, it would be an insult because it just means that you were a bit of a loser.
She wrote, your favorite artist has been practicing rituals in a satanic cult where they take babies from other countries and mutilate and kill them as a form of blood sacrifice to their god.
Epstein was possibly about to cooperate with the feds right before he died.
Now, Oprah is limited in the context of the files, but there is clear collusion between Oprah and Jeffrey Epstein.
The Department of Justice released more than 3,000 documents related to Jeffrey Epstein, and Oprah Winfrey's name appears several times in contact lists, emails, court filings, and testimony summaries, which has fueled online speculation about the extent of their connection. While being mentioned in these documents does not imply guilt or involvement in any crimes, some critics question why prominent figures repeatedly appear within Epstein's network and argue that high-profile associations may have contributed to normalizing him socially. Some emails suggest Epstein sought to rebuild his public image through connections with influential media personalities, including Oprah, although others claim those emails may not be authentic. Discussion about Oprah's name in the files has also been linked to past controversies, including the 2007 launch of the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls in South Africa, which later faced a serious scandal involving abuse by a staff member. More than 15 students reported mistreatment, and although some questioned what leadership knew at the time, no evidence ever showed that Oprah had personal knowledge of the abuse.
The trial of a former dormitory matron charged with abusing 6 students at Oprah Winfrey School for Girls in South Africa is resuming. Prosecutors say former dorm matron Tina Virginia Makopo tried to kiss and fondle the girls. She's also accused of kicking and hitting some of them. Makopo pleaded innocent to 14 charges of indecent assault, and criminal injury in South Africa. Meanwhile, in Philadelphia, the ex-headmistress of the $40 million school is suing Winfrey for defamation. The suit claims someone would conclude from Winfrey's comments that the school employee knew of the alleged abuse and was actively involved in covering it up.
I was, needless to say, devastated and really shaken to my core.
Winfrey said she was disappointed in the former headmistress. The TV talk show host also made comments about students who felt there was an atmosphere of repression at the school.
And I spoke to all the girls personally, and I encouraged all of them, any of them who had actually been harmed, to please come forward.
A tweet circulating online claims that documents related to Jeffrey Epstein include a statement from a woman alleging that he offered her money to bear children for black market purposes, and it also references John of God, a Brazilian spiritual healer who was later imprisoned for serious crimes and who had previously been interviewed by Oprah. The tweet further alleges extreme acts involving women and children, organ harvesting, and ritualistic activities, describing those accused as deserving the harshest punishment. It also mentions fashion executive Peter Nygaard, another former guest on Oprah's show, claiming he was recorded attempting to bribe black women for aborted fetuses. These allegations are presented in the tweet as part of broader accusations about corruption and abuse among powerful figures in Hollywood, though such claims have circulated widely online and remain highly controversial and disputed.
So how much do you want for it? Let's bid. I bid $500 for you. I'm prepared to outbid him anyway. Whatever I bid, he's going to outbid me. I bought about $60,000 worth of eggs. Yeah. If you have abortion, that's very valuable. Umbilical cord, and placenta, even your period blood is so rich with stem cells. Yeah. We regard it as waste, and it actually should be. It should be captured as recycled, and it shouldn't go to waste. It's life for somebody,
Him.
And it's life for
George W. Bush.
No, the best eggs are 16 to 18 years old. Those are the best eggs.
16 to 18-year-olds.
Your eggs get weaker and weaker.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. So you may not be our top candidate.
No, that's fine. That was my business anyway.
Claims have circulated online suggesting that the use of stem cells or blood from other people, including children, is more common among wealthy elites than the public realizes, particularly in discussions that resurfaced after the Jeffrey Epstein case became widely known. Around that time, Nicki Minaj posted tweets reflecting on troubling experiences she said she had observed within the entertainment industry. Although she did not mention specific names, some online commentators interpreted her remarks as indirect criticism of powerful circles now frequently referenced in connection with Epstein. These interpretations, however, are largely speculative and based on public reaction rather than confirmed evidence.
Here's what Nicki Minaj had to say. She wrote, "Your favorite artist has been practicing rituals in a satanic cult where they take babies from other countries and mutilate and kill them as a form of blood sacrifice to their god. You see, when your master is Satan, you must constantly shed blood. However, the jig is up." And yeah, she's not the first person in Hollywood to say that. I just don't know how much could be in our face anymore before we wake up and realize these people are ruling over us and they win when we're fighting with each other. That's just the reality. I really don't see how you can have a ton of success in Hollywood and not be in the club, because Hollywood was founded upon this. I just don't really care what you call me. It's time for everyone to wake.
Much of the controversy surrounding Jeffrey Epstein centers on questions about his intentions involving young women and his activities at his New Mexico ranch. According to testimony cited in court documents and media reports, some accusers allege that Epstein spoke to scientists and business associates about plans to use his ranch near Santa Fe as a place where multiple women would be inseminated with his sperm in order to father numerous children. Reports indicate he discussed ambitions of having up to 20 women pregnant at a time at his 33,000 square foot Zorro ranch. These accounts suggest that Epstein expressed an interest in eugenics, genetic engineering, and the idea of propagating his own lineage, and that he raised such topics during meetings and gatherings with academics and other influential figures. While these claims have been widely reported, they stem from allegations and testimonies related to the broader investigation into his conduct.
In the Epstein files, it literally shows emails that Jeffrey Epstein was creating designer babies. I really want to know why we haven't heard the DOJ talk about this, especially since some of the survivors said that this happened to them in Jeffrey Epstein's New Mexico property, Zorro Ranch. How I found out that he was working with another person to create these designer babies is because I saw him ordering a lot of 23andMe kits, and he was sending them to a lot of different people as gifts. In this email, he was sending some to Woody Allen and his adopted daughter at one point in time, who is now his wife. And I started to see a lot of emails in the Epstein files of people saying that they were pregnant to Jeffrey Epstein, or even alluding that he had actual children. Like this email in 2011 to Jeffrey Epstein, and it appears to be from Sarah Ferguson. And it said, "You have disappeared. I didn't even know you were having a baby. It's so crystal clear to me that you were only friends with me to get to Andrew, and that really hurt me deeply, more than you will know. Congratulations on your baby boy." And this email in 2006 from Glenn Dubin to Jeffrey Epstein. "I get pictures of you flying over Mount Fiji, and I have to find out from Benghazi that you have twin babies. Eva and I are so excited for you. Please send pictures ASAP." And Glenn Dubin says, "Test tube babies, just thinking." Started looking up the term babies in the Epstein files, and this is when I came across this. It was titled Designer Babies in August of 2018, and he has it on like an agenda. Then I found this email, and it's from Brian Bishop to Jeffrey Epstein, and it's Designer Babies / Brian Bishop. So I looked up who Brian Bishop was, because I was like, why are they saying designer babies? And it says, Brian Bishop is a software engineer and a biohacker who gained attention for his attempts to fund and advance a do-it-yourself, or DIY, designer baby project using Bitcoin. His project aimed to utilize the CRISPR gene editing technology to engineer human embryos for enhanced traits, such as increased muscle mass or improved memory. And this is the next email I found about designer babies, and it's from Brian Bishops to Jeffrey Epstein, and it says, "Here is a deck about my designer baby project. I have talked with Austin again, and we have a series of questions about how serious you are about wanting this, and what are the ground rules for me even exploring this with you and getting to next steps."
These serious crimes were later revealed to have taken place on Jeffrey Epstein's private island, and after his 2006 arrest, he reportedly sought ways to repair his public image. In the years that followed, he increased his involvement in philanthropy, donating to charities, funding academic initiatives, and building connections within elite scientific and humanitarian circles. Several universities and nonprofit organizations accepted his financial contributions and allowed him access to influential networks despite his status as a registered sex offender. However, these efforts did not fully restore his reputation, and reports suggest he continued seeking associations with highly trusted public figures in hopes of regaining broader social legitimacy.
Let's talk about Oprah. Now, Oprah is limited in the context of the files, but there is clear collusion between Oprah and Jeffrey Epstein. What do you mean? Well, Sarah Ferguson, yes, the Duchess of York, she is involved with Epstein, and she is involved with Oprah. Let's talk about this specifically. Sarah sent Epstein an email saying, I want to make sure you're aware I'm going on Oprah tomorrow, and she is going to ask me about my debts, the entrapment of last year, and the press about you in January. It'll be quick and at the top of the show, all of 10 seconds, a very small piece. However, I just wanted to make sure that you are aware of this and seek your advice on how you want me to answer. It will be a tiny piece. This is straight up collusion. This is Oprah passing through a message to Epstein. And you know what? Jeffrey responded to Sarah with the answer that he was supposed to give. Jeffrey was unfairly characterized as a pedophile by the tabloid press. Many years ago, Jeffrey pleaded guilty to soliciting underage prostitutes. He paid his debt to society and has sought forgiveness. I have nothing more to say. This was in 2011. This is clear collusion between Oprah, Sarah, and Jeffrey.
Some critics argue that Oprah Winfrey has, at different times, been publicly associated with high-profile figures in the entertainment industry who were later convicted or accused of serious misconduct, including Harvey Weinstein, R. Kelly, and Sean Diddy Combs. They suggest that repeated associations with controversial individuals raise questions about patterns within powerful social circles. For example, Weinstein was widely celebrated in Hollywood for decades and received public support from many prominent figures before multiple allegations against him became public and led to his conviction. Supporters of Oprah, however, note that professional or social connections within the entertainment industry do not necessarily imply knowledge of or involvement in others' wrongdoing.
Oprah publicly supported victims of sexual assault in the wake of numerous allegations against Harvey Weinstein. Singer Seal Instagrammed this meme, showing Winfrey kissing the disgraced mogul. It reads, when you have been part of the problem for decades, but suddenly they all think you are the solution.
Please welcome Seal!
The 54-year-old who's appeared on Oprah's show captioned his post, oh, I forgot, that's right, you'd heard the rumors, but you had no idea he was actually serially young starry-eyed actresses, my bad. While Weinstein maintains his innocence, Seal hasn't commented further, and Oprah has not responded.
This moment is a really powerful time for everybody to get woke.
Fans have come to her defense, pointing out Winfrey is a sexual survivor. They also posted pics of Seal's ex, Heidi Klum, kissing Weinstein too.
Critics of Hollywood argue that the industry's power structures often prioritize profit over ethics, with insiders sometimes being paid enormous sums to stay silent or complicit while abuses occur, particularly against vulnerable individuals. This system allegedly entraps celebrities, offering them wealth and opportunity in exchange for obedience and discretion, effectively maintaining control over the culture and protecting predators. Comedian Dave Chappelle once turned down a major deal because he did not trust the industry's expectations, a choice that was initially mocked by peers, including Oprah, and widely misunderstood at the time. In retrospect, many see his decision as a rare refusal to participate in a system that rewards silence and compliance, highlighting how difficult it is to navigate power, money, and morality within Hollywood's elite circles.
It was completely outside of my frame of reference. I've been in show business since I was 14, and I've heard the stories of what happens, and I've seen these kinds of things play out in front of me,
Okay.
When I saw
when you
the
say you
tapes.
heard the stories, what do you mean? What stories?
I mean, you see before, look, Mariah Carey made a $100 million deal, and 3 months later, she's all of a sudden mysteriously crazy. Or Martin Lawrence punches through and he's waving a gun on the street screaming, they're trying to kill me.
Yeah, we hear those stories.
And it always happens around the time in their career where it seems as though they're crossing over the next plateau.
Yeah. Would you say you lost your mind, sort of?
No.
No.
Not exactly.
Okay.
I wasn't crazy, but it's incredibly stressful.
Yeah.
And I felt like in a lot of instances, I was deliberately being put through stress.
And they do what's called a salt trap. I didn't know this. Apparently baboons love salt.
Okay.
So they put a lump of salt in a hole, and they wait for the baboon. The baboon comes, sticks his hand in the hole, grabs the salt. Salt makes his hand bigger, and he's trapped. He can't get his hand out. Now, if he's smart, all he does is let go of the salt. Baboon doesn't want to let go of the salt. Then the bushman just comes, takes the baboon, throws him in the cage, and gives him all the salt he wants. And then the baboon gets thirsty. The bushman lets him out the cage. The first place the baboon runs to is water. The bushman follows him, and they both drink to their fill. And in that analogy, I felt like the baboon. But I was smart enough to let go of this.
Critics of Hollywood argue that the industry's power structures often prioritize profit over ethics, with insiders sometimes being paid enormous sums to stay silent or complicit while abuses occur, particularly against vulnerable individuals. This system allegedly entraps celebrities, offering them wealth and opportunity in exchange for obedience and discretion, effectively maintaining control over the culture and protecting predators. Comedian Dave Chappelle once turned down a major deal because he did not trust the industry's expectations, a choice that was initially mocked by peers, including Oprah, and widely misunderstood at the time. In retrospect, many see his decision as a rare refusal to participate in a system that rewards silence and compliance, highlighting how difficult it is to navigate power, money, and morality within Hollywood's elite circles.
And the chairman of a prominent law firm is stepping down over his association with Jeffrey Epstein. Paul Weiss law chair Brad Karp says in a statement, quote, "Recent reporting has created a distraction and has placed a focus on me that's not in the best interest of the firm." The firm says Karp will remain with the firm, just in a different role. Senior Washington reporter Will Staken is here for more. Hi, Will. So what's the latest on this growing list of prominent people facing scrutiny over the Epstein files?
Yeah, Diane, well I think, Mr. Karp right here is kind of the latest fallout from these Epstein files. Like you said, the really powerful law firm Paul Weiss announced that Mr. Karp would be stepping down after his name appeared in these files. Now, the law firm did not give a reason why Mr. Karp is stepping down, and previously the law firm denied Mr. Karp had any wrongdoing, but with this release of these files, his name appears in the files, mostly with his assistant trying to schedule meetings with Mr. Epstein. But there's an email between Mr. Karp and Epstein where he's asking about if he could help, get his son some kind of job in an upcoming Woody Allen film. So I think these emails, obviously are continuing to have fallout across, widespread industries. It's kind of the latest fallout here. We saw recently that popular wellness influencer Peta Attia also stepped down from his role at the protein company David.
The recent release of Epstein-related documents has reportedly impacted several high-profile careers, drawing attention to connections between Jeffrey Epstein and other wealthy figures, including Bill Gates. Records indicate that Gates and Epstein had a documented relationship beginning around 2011, several years after Epstein's prior conviction for sex offenses, meaning it was not a matter of ignorance. Their interactions reportedly included multiple private meetings and dinners in New York, highlighting the continued social and business networks Epstein maintained even after his legal troubles.
Well, we've known his name before. There are more unsettling allegations surrounding Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates. Yep, came out as part of the release. It was revealed that back in 2013, Epstein allegedly claimed that Gates was looking to get medication to treat an STD because of having sex with Russian girls. Keyword Russian. We'll get back to that. Yeah, apparently Epstein had penned this draft email on behalf of a Gates advisor who wanted to maybe leave the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. So Epstein seemingly wrote in this guy's voice, "In my role as his right hand, I had been asked on multiple occasions and in hindsight wrongly acquiesced into participating in things that have ranged from the morally inappropriate to the ethically unsound and had been repeatedly asked to do other things that get near and potentially over the line into the illegal. From helping Bill to get drugs in order to deal with consequences of with Russian girls, to facilitating his illicit trysts with married women, to being asked to provide Adderall for bridge tournaments, I feel I owe it to my friends and future colleagues to admit a moral failure." So there was a spokesperson for Bill Gates who rejected the allegations, saying these claims are absolutely absurd and completely false.
Jeffrey Epstein maintained connections with some of the world's most powerful figures, even after his conviction for sex offenses, raising questions about how little concern there seemed to be over his criminal record. Legal documents and emails in the released files allege that Epstein and Prince Andrew arranged for an exotic dancer to perform at Epstein's Florida home, with promised payment that was never fully made, and that Epstein facilitated international meetings between Andrew and young women, including a 26-year-old Russian in London in 2010. These revelations have led Prince Andrew to relinquish many public roles, though reports suggest he shows no regret for the association, and an ex-girlfriend reportedly commented that being connected to Epstein was considered a mark of social status in certain circles.
Everybody that was very powerful. So like if you were on the scene and you were powerful, like to be honest, like if you're not in those files, it would be an insult because it just means that you were a bit of a loser.
Right. So the people who aren't in the files are losers.
Yes.
Okay. Are you in the files?
Well, of course I am, because it's any journalist that wrote about it.
That's an astonishing attitude, isn't it? You're the loser because you're not in this. I find that jaw-dropping.
All of this raises the question of how Jeffrey Epstein was able to gain access to some of the world's most exclusive and powerful circles. Epstein did not simply appear in these spaces by chance. His presence was facilitated through gatekeepers, intermediaries, and institutions that benefited from maintaining certain connections and keeping secrets hidden. Royal families and other elite figures rarely associate with financiers or outsiders without trusted endorsements, highlighting how deliberately his access was cultivated. The fact that Epstein operated for so long without serious scrutiny has led many to question whether powerful institutions failed to investigate him thoroughly or deliberately allowed him to continue unchecked.
Let me just get real and say,
if I gun to your head, what do you think your best assessment of what Epstein, who was Epstein, who was he working for?
Well, I don't know, right? So I'm just guessing. Everybody wants to say he was working for the Mossad. He very well could have been. He could have been working for the CIA. He could have been a guy who was on his own, but also working with them, right? Like a guy that they used, but they never fully endorsed.
Like an asset?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a guy who could move money around.
Right.
He definitely...
Good at laundering money.
The moving money around stuff was very weird because he had money through no way that anybody could ever explain.
Yeah.
He had an enormous amount of money through no way that nobody could ever explain. Which, you know, if you're state funded, you're funded by Israel, and Israel's funded by America, and, you know, there's also NGOs and nonprofits, and there's ways to move money around where you can give this guy money.
Yeah.
So he was like Weinstein, who is an economist, right? Weinstein's a legitimate mathematician.
Eric?
Yeah. So when Eric met him, his first inclination was he was a fraud.
He's a construct.
Yeah, a construct. And did he tell you the whole story about the girl sitting on his lap?
Yep.
So Epstein, while he's meeting with Eric Weinstein for the first time, has a beautiful girl sitting on his lap, and a woman, I shouldn't say girl. He said she was like in her 20s, and she's sitting on his lap, and he's bouncing around, so her tits are juggling around.
While he's asking math questions.
Yeah, talking serious. So he was obviously nerd fishing.
One of the most shocking aspects of the Epstein case involves speculation that he may have been cooperating with authorities before his death, though no confirmed agreement has ever been publicly released. Recent reports suggest that Epstein was allegedly prepared to provide names of individuals he had worked with, potentially implicating billionaires, politicians, royalty, and intelligence-linked figures. His death, officially ruled a suicide, occurred amid a series of suspicious circumstances, including malfunctioning cameras, inattentive guards, and broken bones in his neck, fueling further speculation. While no public list or formal acknowledgement of his cooperation exists, the possibility that he could have named powerful people has led many to question whether some had a direct incentive to prevent him from testifying.
According to an FBI record, Epstein was possibly about to cooperate with the feds right before he died. That on July 29, 2019, his lawyers and the federal prosecutors in this case, in very general terms, discussed the possibility of a resolution of the case and the possibility of the defendant's cooperation. Cooperation's key. Defense counsel did not make a specific proposal, and they did not indicate what the nature of Epstein's cooperation might be, if any. But it was suggested that defense counsel contact SDNY if Epstein was prepared to accept responsibility for his conduct and or they had a specific proposal for a resolution of this case. Okay, so maybe he was going to work out a deal and then he dies, right? That looks suspicious. This is a guy who had connections to the rich and powerful, potentially had a lot of information. Strange, he just dies, right?
We are often told to trust the headlines, accept official conclusions, and believe that justice has been served. Yet the Epstein story continues to feel unfinished. Despite thousands of documents and countless names appearing in the files, there has been little accountability, leaving many questions unanswered. Some suggest that Epstein may have been more than just an individual predator, perhaps a middleman, a hub, or a liability who knew too much about the powerful figures around him.